All right, welcome back, True Seeker. Several of you guys asked me to live stream. I'll do my best. I've been up since 2:30 this morning, and we're a little after 10 p.m. out here on the West Coast. But yes, once again, congrats to the winners. Another future in the bag. Preseason, we had the Thunder in the West and Boston in the East, and I still feel jaded about Boston because we said before the season began, I said, look for Boston to start the year 19-5, like they can become 19-5 in NBA Finals. And if they do that, they'll do it on Larry Bird's birthday, December 7th. Boston Celtics equals 195. They did do that. And then in the last game of the year, we said, oh, they can get their 61st win versus Charlotte. Let's watch what the scoring progression is like. Sure enough, they started the game off against Charlotte 19-5. It was looking real good for the Boston Oklahoma City future at that point. Would have been a lot more valuable had we had them both right. But the reason they did all that with Boston and on Larry Bird's birthday is because Larry Bird's an Indiana guy. Yeah, he's from Indiana. And something I learned this year, even though I've written, I do have a major chapter in my first book about the Oklahoma City bombing. And then I have a major unfinished chapter on the Oklahoma City bombing in the book I've been working on for the last 5 years. I was overlooking the whole time how Timothy McVeigh was executed in Indiana. I wish I would have been aware of that because that was the major clue for this thing. But again, as I've been educating about for going on 12 years come August, sports are definitely scripted and they definitely pay tribute to history and current events. And I just put out a short video on this, but one more time, it can't be said enough. This work needs to spread. This knowledge needs to spread. Again, look at the tributes in this series. Let's just start right here with Dick Cheney, Mr. Halliburton, you guys. Halliburton, the oil company that Dick Cheney, the former vice president, who was VP when 9/11 happened, shortly after the Oklahoma City bombing. Again, Halliburton was founded in Oklahoma, the oil company. And of course, the star of the Pacers is Halliburton, who's facing Oklahoma City. Look at this. Look at the way this lines up, you guys. Dick Cheney, who's 84 years old. Just for the record, Indiana Pacers equals 84. Today was the 84th game in the playoffs of this NBA postseason, and the Thunder picked up their 84th win of the year. They had 68 in the regular season, 16 in the playoffs, 84 total. But look at this. From Dick Cheney's 84th birthday to today, the Pacers got their 143rd postseason loss 143 days after Dick Cheney's birthday. And I get annoyed when people kind of like, oh, you're talking about this after the fact. No, we were talking about this before the game today on Patreon, which is very inexpensive. I've hardly ever charged anything for this awesome knowledge. Again, people who don't do a fraction of what I do charge a fortune for picks. I've always charged nothing. And there was a crybaby in the video I left on my sports channel saying, oh, you never put out anything for free. All throughout the season, I put out free videos hinting at Oklahoma City winning the finals, including here I'll play the video from opening day later in the stream, and I'll also play the video from March 26th of this year before the playoffs even began, talking about what they did with the weather up in Seattle where the Thunder used to be and how they said it looked like a Oklahoma storm. And again, in that video, I showed how perfectly synced it was with the finals. And that might remind you of the hit piece Vice News did on me in 2017, where I accurately forecasted when Harvey was going to flood Texas and how it foreshadowed Houston beating LA in the World Series as they went on to do. Again, weather warfare, rig sports, these are real things that might just be above the pay grade of the average American who doesn't have anywhere near 143 IQ points in their brain. And that might be what it takes to understand this knowledge, because I'm not trying to brag, but again, that's around where my IQ is. And I think a lot of the people in my community like Open Up, the first person to leave a super chat, also another high IQ guy. Most people have double-digit IQs, and this might just be way above pay grade to understand it. But this is what they do every year. And if you're saying, well, how can it be that scripted? Start paying attention to how it's that scripted. It's because it's all planned. Dick Cheney's 84 years old. How old's the NBA? This is the 79th season. Some of these people were born into powerful families. They are part of the ruling cabal, and literally they have world events scripted around them, just like they had this going on back when these guys were in the White House. But yes, 143 days after Dick Cheney's birthday, and understand 143 is not an arbitrary number. In Gematria, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 143. And of course, all of the major American sports are credited to Scottish Rite Freemasons. Not to mention the Scottish Rite House of the Temple in D.C. has a major portrait of both the Bushes up there. Dick Cheney was the VP to George W. Bush. And guess what? This wasn't the only 84 tribute today either. The Tigers, the LSU Tigers, won the 78th College World Series. And shout out to Evan down in the Dallas area, who puts out this knowledge on the streets in front of the stadiums as well. He pointed out that the Tigers just picked up their 84th win of the season in the 78th World Series. So the Tigers win the 78th College World Series, picking up their 84th win of the year. And again, if you're new here, Gematria, these are the 4 base ciphers of the English language: alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. Notice Indiana Pacers, 84, right? 84. Oklahoma City gets their 84th win of the year. The Pacers stayed on 65 wins for the year. In that same cipher, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology, Oklahoma City 65. And I know a 52 got picked up in today's game as well. Oklahoma City and Indiana are both 52. And Indiana did win the ABA championship 52 years ago. Yeah, I got to double check what the stat was, but I know a 52 happened in today's game that went in Oklahoma City's favor. Anyway, let's just go through all of this. We'll come back to the final score and why it's 103-91. But yeah, again, just starting right here. 84th game of the playoffs, Oklahoma City, 84th win over Halliburton, who had a fake injury. And what do I call the NBA, you guys? If you've been around, you know I call it the 113 League, right? The National Basketball Association 113. You want to guess how many days it was after Halliburton's birthday today? If you guessed 113, you're a winner. And just to put it up here. Some athletes would be like, he spells his name different than the oil company, though. They have 2 L's. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Halliburton, 113 days after his birthday, and he was 25 years old as they script this finals ritual around him. Okay. So, yeah, big 84 piece, right? And again, here's your numbers. 143, special to the Masons, who are responsible for these sports. Masonry's based in Kabbalah. Kabbalah is where this whole practice of coding numbers into words comes from. Oklahoma City, 84th win. Pacers get stuck on 65. And remember, Jim Irsay died at 65 right before Pacers-Knicks tipped off. They announced it 15 minutes before tip-off. The finals began on 6-5. Oklahoma City's last win was on Juneteenth, which started in 1865. And to go back to Irsay's death, if you read the article, I read it the day he died. I did a video on it if you want to go back and watch. They talked about how he started his career in sports with horse racing in Baltimore. And remember, he died right after the Preakness, which is in Baltimore. He died, the Preakness was that weekend, and then he died right before tip-off of the Eastern Conference Finals, but he started with horse racing, right? And he ran the Colts, or he owned the Colts, at least supposedly. Again, I think a lot of these guys are just really actors playing their part. But Irsay died at 65, horse racing, the Colts are named after horses. The Colts, Indianapolis, started in Baltimore. They used to be the Baltimore Colts. And don't forget Prince is 65 either, because Prince performed Purple Rain for the halftime show, the only time Jim Irsay won a Super Bowl. That was Super Bowl 41. Prince performed Purple Rain, and it was the only halftime in NFL history where it rained at halftime. And anyway, so the 65 thing is big, right? And then here's the bigger thing. The coach of the Thunder, who just won the championship, Mark Daigneault, he started his coaching career at the Jesuit University Holy Cross. And what is Holy Cross called? They're called the Crusaders. And who were the Crusaders? They were the Knights Templar, right? Look at the gematria of Knights Templar in the 4 base ciphers. 173, right? The Thunder win the finals on the 173rd day of the year, June 22nd. They keep the Pacers on 65 wins. In reverse, Knights Templars 205, which looks a lot like 25 the year this ritual goes down, plus finals equals 25. And like I said, Halliburton's 25. And then in reverse with numerology, 79, like this is the 79th season. And remember, the military strike in Iran by the U.S. perfectly synced with Pete Hegseth, who has the Crusader tattoos all over his body. And again, just to understand how all of this stuff is perfectly connected. Pete Hegseth, again, he called this Operation Midnight Hammer what we did, right? Midnight Hammer 79. June 22nd in Iran was the strike. We talked about how Pete Hegseth was chosen on the Superior General's birthday, the leader of the Jesuits. Again, like how Mark Dagnall coached at Holy Cross, the Jesuit University. If you don't know, the Jesuits, a.k.a. the Society of Jesus, are the modern-day Templars. And that's right, right in their logo, they have the Templar cross. For all you video game players, what's the series called? Assassin's Creed? Assassin's Creed, where they're teaching you about, like, the history of the Templars and their controlling, powerful influence. Guess what? Nothing's changed. All roads lead to Rome. The Templars, military order of the Catholic Church, just like the Jesuits are. But yeah, you can see the overlap. And again, Pete Hegseth, talking about crusades, just like Bush was after 9/11. Again, all of these things are connected. It was still June 21st in the U.S. when the strike happened. That's the day leaving 193 days left in the year. Secretary of Defense 193. Again, these things aren't an accident. Hegseth picked on the Superior General's birthday. And look, from the day that Hegseth was picked to the strike was a span of 222 days, like Superior General's 222. But by the way, you guys, from the start of the playoffs on April 19th, which is the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing, to the strike, the strike and the finals ending on the same day, June 22nd, was a span of 65 days. For another 65. The coach who lost, Rick Carlisle, is 65 years old right now. He won the NBA Finals 14 years ago, which was the 65th NBA Finals. He won it with Dallas, which is just down Interstate 35 from Oklahoma City. And don't even get me started on Kevin Durant, who was drafted by the Sonics, who became Oklahoma City, getting traded to the Rockets today. Because when did the Houston Rockets win their finals? Do you know when the Rockets won their championships? Here, let's go back if you don't know. Let's go back and see when the Rockets won their championships. They lost in 81 to the Celtics. Let's go to when they won. They won in 94 and 95. What happened sandwiched between those two finals? Do you remember? What happened between the 94 NBA Finals and the 95 NBA Finals? Is that when the Oklahoma City bombing happened on April 19th? Like there were 95 points at the half today? Okay. So, yeah. Durant, who started out, he used to play for the Texas Longhorns before he got drafted in the NBA by the Sonics. And as someone who lives up in the Pacific Northwest, I was living in Seattle. I remember when the news broke that the Blazers and the Sonics had defied the odds and got the top two picks. I used to work with a guy named Olin. He was an athlete. He was a little bit taller than me. Him and I were at a bar after work, and we were both catching the news at this time that this had happened that night. We worked a night shift back then. And I said to him, I bet you anything, the Blazers are going to draft Greg Oden over Durant. He's going to be a bust like Sam Bowie. His career is going to be cut short. He's going to be injured just like Sam Bowie. The report was already out back then that Greg Oden had different sized legs. One leg was an inch longer than the others. If you look into the history of big guys who've been in the NBA who have different sized legs, none of them have long careers. So, and since this is a known fact, it's like, can you imagine being paid supposedly millions of dollars to run an NBA team? And there you have Kevin Durant, who looks like Scottie Pippen 2.0. That's what I always called him, at least, because he did everything. He's longer than Scottie Pippen. He can play great. I mean, he dominated defensively in college, could shoot, just everything. I mean, just like truly the all-purpose player, the 7-footer with halfway decent handles. I mean, you could tell that Kevin Durant was going to be this phenom. And then Greg Oden, of course, was a big man, but already injury-prone, different-sized legs. And this history already happened. The Blazers didn't draft Michael Jordan and drafted Sam Bowie instead, who was injured and out of the league in no time. Next thing you know, what do you know? Blazers and Thunder get the top 2 picks, and then these top 2 stars, one's out of the league in no time, and then the other one's shipped down to Oklahoma City, not far from Texas or the Longhorns campus where he was playing before. It's just all a joke. But anyway, I wish I would have known Gematria back then. I would have even understood it even better. But okay, just going through all the rituals here. Going through all the rituals. Okay. So let's pull up the June 11th game and see how the Pacers won with 116 points on June 11th. Let's pull this up again. We already covered this the day of, but let's cover it one more time. Pacers box scores. So we're going to go to the June 11th game where the Pacers won with 116 points. This was the biggest tribute to Oklahoma City in the whole series. Here, let me zoom this in. On the date that can be written 11/6, the Pacers win with 116 points. What happened on June 11th in history connected to the Oklahoma City bombing? Where and what day was Timothy McVeigh executed? All kinds of typos there, but anyway, Timothy McVeigh was executed by lethal injection on June 11th, 2001, 3 months to the day of 9/11, when Dick Cheney was in office. Not to mention Dick Cheney was already in office when he was executed. And he was executed in Indiana, right? So what's execution equal in Gematria? It equals, in the most simple cipher, 116, right? It also equals 46, like Oklahoma's the 46th state in order of statehood. And again, this franchise, the Thunder, they last won the championship 46 years ago, and 79 is the Sonics. So... And again, Joe Biden, the 46th president, is who passed the counterterrorism legislation. If you guys don't know this, he passed it on Governor Keating's birthday, which was February 10th. February 10th, the U.S. government passed the first counterterrorism legislation, which was Joe Biden's bill, who became the 46th president. But that was 68 days before Oklahoma City blew up on April 19th. By the way, it passed on the 41st day of the year. Oklahoma City blew up 68 days later on the 109th day of the year. McVeigh was born in 68 like Muhammad Atta. Again, the Thunder won 68 games in the regular season this year. Remember, 1968 is the year of years. It's the year of the MLK and RFK assassinations. It's the year 911 was made the National Emergency Dialing Code. It's the year World Trade Center construction began in New York. It's the year George W. Bush got out of Yale and Skull and Bones. It's the year coronavirus was coined. It's the year fentanyl was approved by the FDA. It's the year the New York Jets won their only Super Bowl, Super Bowl III. And then on 9/11, 3 Jets hit targets. And then the Mo Lewis Jet sacks Drew Bledsoe from Washington State. If you guys don't know, Washington State's heavily connected to 9/11 because the World Trade Center was designed by a Japanese American from Seattle. Magnus and Klemenka Associates out of Seattle is one of the main architects on the World Trade Center. Manhattan Project to develop nuclear energy. The nuclear energy was first developed in Washington State. There was a major earthquake in Washington State that year in February, perfectly synced with the World Trade Centers being turned to dust later that year in Manhattan. But the other big 68 is basketball. You know, basketball is 68. So it fits in perfectly to pay tribute to this terrorism through the basketball championship. And again, the word championship is also 68. Remember, Dikembe Mutombo died at 58 before the season got underway, exactly 68 weeks after Denver won the championship. And Denver's also 68. And Dikembe Mutombo is 58, R.I.P. We got an interview that day from his wife, Rose, and then Pete Rose kicked the bucket that day by the numbers as well. And the first image ESPN put out was Steve Garvey laughing behind him, who was all connected to the Dodgers last year, who won the World Series, another thing we called in spring training. Okay, so here, let's talk about this final score tonight. 194 points. A lot of the world writes the date April 19th, 19/4 like 194. Plus, they said Timothy McVeigh was motivated by the book The Turner Diaries, which equals 194, right? And do you see how it's also 103? They win with 103 points tonight, 194 total points in the game. The 86 is interesting because the finals was coined in 86. That was the year they started using the term finals. Len Bias died that year after being drafted by the Celtics, who won the championship with Larry Bird, who this season was also synced with. Larry Joe Bird, his full name is 79 and 65. Big numbers we're talking about tonight. But yeah, the Turner Diaries are what inspired Timothy McVeigh. And you know how this is the 79th season? From Miles Turner's birthday. Here, I'll just show you this. We'll just do some simple math here. It was 79 days after Miles Turner's birthday, who plays for the Pacers. Today's 90 days after his birthday, and Thunder equals 90. But there's so many things that are crazy. Today is the 22nd, right? So 11 days ago, June 11th, the execution game was 79 days after his birthday. And look at when he was born, March 24th, 96. He was born just before the 1-year anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. And check this out. From the bombing, and again, if you guys have been following my work for over a decade, I've always said the same things, right? That all these games are scripted. They're all tributes to history. And you can tell that a lot of the players were born and bred to be because of when they were born and how they line up with these scripted rituals. I mean, Miles Turner, Turner Diaries, 79th season, the ritual paying tribute to McVeigh's execution with an exact score 79 days after his birthday. Don't forget the word murder is also 79, and essentially execution is authorized murder by the state. But anyway, look at this. April 19th, 1995. Again, 95 points at the half. How many games were tied at 95 all in this series? You might want to go back and check that too. It's a little bit mind-blowing. But March 24th, 1996, his birthday, he was born 340 days later. Why does that matter? It's a lot like 3-4. Indiana equals 34. When Dick Barnett died, who's from Indiana and played for the Knicks, the Indiana advanced over the Knicks 34 days later. And don't forget, Richard Barnett, his actual name is 141. The Pacers-Knicks series began on the 141st day of the year. Sean Kemp, who's from Indiana and played for Seattle, he got sentenced to prison 811 days after the supposed shooting he's a part of, which is the 141st prime number. And I'd bet all that I'm worth that he's directly related to Richard Barnett. Just like I'd bet all that I'm worth that LeBron's daddy, his real daddy, is Nate Thurmond, as I've been saying forever. And that was how I called all the Warriors Cavs championships before any of them happened, because Thurmond played for the Warriors and the Cavs. And if you're new here, you can look into the history of that work. Of course, YouTube's deleted 20-some channels, so a lot of things are gone. But these are points I've made a bazillion times. The reason that a lot of these guys supposedly don't know who their daddy is because their daddy played in the league. There's only so many guys that have 7-foot-tall genetics. And all of my life, I've known a lot of people. The tallest person I ever knew was a guy who was 6'10", who wasn't too coordinated. But I went to school with him. Really goofy-looking guy. Like one eye popping out of his head. And that's the thing, is like a lot of these, like back in the day, a lot like these... Yeah, it does seem as time's gone on, they figured out how to get the genetics better. These guys aren't as goofy looking when they're 7 feet tall, you know? It's like, look at Rudy Gobert. He's like a halfway decent looking guy. Look at all the 7-footers from like 30 plus years ago. Look like they were all like some kind of genetic, they look like Frankenstein. They look like Aaron Judge. Anyway. Don't even get me started on all the rituals they do with Aaron Judge. Anyway. Yeah, it's just the other thing I forgot to say about the 103 is Timothy. So, okay, the day of the week that's named after Mercury, the 103 planet, is Wednesday. The Oklahoma City bombing was on a Wednesday, and Timothy McVeigh was arrested in a Mercury marquee on a Wednesday. If you guys have seen the recent Netflix documentary they did on, you know, the person who was putting the, you know, cyanide in the Tylenol bottles, all those first deaths from the Janus family, they all happened on a Wednesday. And McNeil, the company that makes Tylenol, was 103 years old at the time. You see how Tylenol is 103 and 86? If you watch that documentary on the Tylenol murders, Again, the first group of deaths are all on a Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday is October 6th, the day leaving 86 days left in the year, and the killer wrote a ransom note and said, "Give me $1 million and I'll stop killing people with cyanide in the Tylenol bottles." And then they thought they had it solved, and then the problem came back in '86. If you watch the documentary, and it's like, again, you learn gematria, and you're like, look at this. While McNeil's 103 years old, there's Tylenol murders. Here. The problem started. Let me see. Hold on. I just did a post on this the other day. McNeil was established in hold on, something is wrong with this. Hold on. I just want you guys to see this because I'm making the point about how these operations work around these same numbers. Plus, anytime 103 comes up in sports on a Wednesday, man, press the button and cash the ticket. Hold on. I just did a post on this. What in the world? Maybe I just did a YouTube video on it. I just did, oh my God. Anyway, I just did a video on this. Trust me, it's all there. It's all there. All right, let me just come back to the topic at hand. I think I got all the main points in here. Yeah. Oh, here's another one. By them winning 91 to 103 plus 12 tonight, before tonight's game, the Thunder came in plus 7. So by winning plus 12 tonight, they became plus 19. Again, Seattle's the 19 city. Seattle's the 19 city. And all series, they've been showing you Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, number 2, and his cohort, Williams, Jalen Williams, number 8, 8-2. Like Seattle's also 82. Seattle 19. Yesterday, the Cubbies beat Seattle 10-7. The day before, they fell to 9-4 in the AL. All right, 9-4 against the AL, lose 9-4. And if you guys missed that game was awesome. On June 20th, Friday, Seattle's the 206 area code. Chicago Cubs equals 206. And Raleigh was playing 206 days after his birthday and had 2 home runs. Had a crazy performance. And then went on to have a good rest of the series, too. But it started off with a major bang. Like Russell Wilson in the only Super Bowl the Seahawks won, 206 passing yards for the 206 area code. And then on 21/6, Cleveland, the 216, wins their game. It reminds of when Cleveland came back and won on the real King James's birthday. The last game in Cleveland that year was Game 6. And there were 216 points in the game. But yeah. Again, the tributes in this history the tributes in this series to history. Oklahoma City bombing. Juneteenth, since 1865, when Pacers got their 65th win of the year. Dick Cheney and Halliburton, founded in Oklahoma in 1919. Here. Halliburton establishment, date and location. Halliburton was founded in 1919 in Duncan, Oklahoma. I'm thinking of Tim Duncan. Is there something there with Tim Duncan? Oh, by the way, let me show you some things with Durant, too, since they traded him today to the Rockets. Again, Durant was drafted by Seattle and then went to Oklahoma City when the team moved. You see how today's 266 days after his birthday? That's the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator. He's 36 years old, like Thunder's 36 forwards and backwards. Remember, 666 is the 36 triangular number. The NBA Finals equals 666 in Sumerian. The Pacers, by losing tonight, stayed on 666 all-time franchise wins versus the West. a nice little 666. Again, if you add 1 through 36 together, it equals 666. We saw how Miles Turner, it was 90 days after his birthday for the Turner Diaries tribute. Today is 99 days before Durant's upcoming birthday. Again, he's 36 right now. And notice, Durant has played 16 years in the league. OKC has the 16 connection. OKC 16. This happens while Durant's got, again, 16 years of experience. And like we said, he got traded to the Rockets, who won their 2 championships around the Oklahoma City bombing, 94 and 95. So, and again, just with the Texas connection and now going back down to Houston. Houston's a major oil refining city. But Timothy McVeigh, also what inspired him, supposedly, was the Waco siege, which happened, obviously, in Texas. And here, I want to make another point about Miles Turner. Let me pull up Mr. Turner again. His birthday, March 24th, right? That date can be written 24/3. And I want you to see that from the start of the NBA season to today was 243 days. So it's 243 days since the NBA season began on October 22nd. Why does that matter? If you go back and if you want to look it up, Bill Clinton's birthday is August 19th, right? He was the president when OKC blew up. He went to Jesuit Georgetown, just like the governor of Oklahoma, Keating, did. But his last birthday would have been August 19th, 1994. The bombing on April 19th, 1995. And remember, April 19th is Ignatius Loyola Day. It's the founder of the Jesuits. It's the day he was recognized by the superior. It's the day he became the first superior general of the Jesuits. But yeah, from Clinton's birthday to Oklahoma City blowing up was 243 days. And what that number is 3 to the 5th power. Kind of like how Oklahoma City and Dallas are both on I-35. Durant wears 35. But the nation's 35th president was killed on I-35. He was also the first Catholic. But here's the big 243. Central Intelligence Agency's 243. And again, I mean, Central Intelligence Agency is here to control people's minds. And think about all the things that are involved in mind control. You don't think sports and entertainment are a big part of it? Imagine if the average man did not have sports and other entertainment to pacify him. Do you think he might be more outraged about all the injustices in society? You think he might turn into like Michael Douglas and Falling Down? You've never seen that movie. That movie came out the day of the 93 World Trade Center bombing. Eventually, those buildings fell down. There's a nice scene where he's in an Asian man's corner store market talking about how crazy inflation is. And just for whatever reason in that scene, there's a street sign inside the store that says Corona. Yeah, look it up. Look up the inflation scene in Falling Down. You'll see the Corona street sign in the store. Because remember, due to the Corona, Trump printed all that money, and then Biden came in and printed even more money, and then the inflation got really bad. The chump always likes to blame it on Biden, but it's like, you printed more money than anybody, buddy. You're the one that's mostly responsible, dumbass. Had you been like yours truly, you would have been explaining that it was all a scam and nobody should go along with it, and then nothing bad will happen. But remember, I was also the guy when they announced they were going to send out checks. If you haven't seen my video from back then, before any of us got a check, I said, all this is going to create is serious inflation. And I said, people like, for my exact example I made is, I said, people like my dad who are about to retire in a couple of years, that guy has worked his whole life like a slave and only saved up $400,000. And with the inflation that's going to come, his $400,000 probably will be worth $300,000, maybe less. And it is worth less. Again, it's like a $300,000 home. After the printing of money, it's now a $500,000 home, meaning your money's worth a lot less. So if you worked your whole life and saved because of that crap that went down in 2020, which was a big scam. Don't forget how remember they had to cancel March Madness, and then the first March Madness tournament was the Gonzaga versus Baylor, where Gonzaga's perfect season got broken up in Indiana, who had the last perfect season. And Gonzaga is named after the Jesuit who died from the flu, Aloysius de Gonzaga. Yeah. Both teams ended up on 28 wins that year in the 82nd tournament. Baylor 28, Gonzaga 28. 28's a perfect number. The perfect season for Gonzaga was broken up by Baylor. And Baylor University is also 82, and that was the 82nd season. And of course, COVID has that 82 as well. Remember, that all started in Seattle, the land of the world's biggest needle, across the street from the Gates Foundation. Anyway, yeah, all of this stuff is a complete joke. And it's crazy how many haters I still have from the. I said at the beginning of that year that Gonzaga was going to have a perfect season and win the championship. Baylor paid 3.5 to 1 to win that night. And I did point out on Patreon before the stream, I said, this could happen. The perfect season might get broken up, and maybe it's ultimately about preserving Indiana's perfect season. Don't forget that year Gonzaga and Baylor were supposed to play each other in Indiana on a neutral court game, and it got canceled because of a COVID outbreak. And then they meet in Indiana in the championship. I hate the way the cabal gets away with this mockery. Collegiate level, professional level. It's all the same. Just like today, the Tigers, the LSU Tigers do pretty much the same ritual as the Oklahoma City Thunder. But yeah, again, I mean, you take away the sports and the entertainment, I think the average man is doing something about conditions. How much they pay in taxes, how much they're lied to by their government and media. Because, like, I look at my dad, right? My dad knows that all this stuff's bullshit, and it makes him mad, and he doesn't even like to think about it. He doesn't even like to talk about it. He just starts getting angry. He can't handle it. So instead, what does he do? He just checks out and watches the ball games. And my dad is a very typical American. Yeah, I can only talk to him about this kind of stuff so much because he starts to just get, it bothers him. He doesn't like, I mean, it bothers me too, but, it bothers me in the sense that I want to see it end. And the problem is you get so good at what you do, you get shadow banned and nobody watches your videos anymore. Case in point, for the guy who cried and said, you only gave out, it's like, dude, I gave out all kinds of free stuff. Here, let's watch this video, and let's see if this seemed like a clue. This was a free video for everybody. You didn't have to be on Patreon. Here, let's watch this one, and then we'll go back and watch the one at the beginning.
Nice.
Hold on.
I just found a freelance accountant on Fiverr.
I'm gonna boost the speed here.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Good news out here in the Pacific Northwest. The storm warning for potential tornadoes, 1-inch size hail, severe winds, none of that came to fruition. But what did happen was a massive thunderstorm. And I just want you to think about this. Headline up here from the Pacific Northwest was more like something that you would see in Oklahoma. Try it one more time. More like something you would see in Oklahoma. So what's the connection with the Pacific Northwest and Oklahoma? Well, if you follow basketball, you already know. The old Seattle Supersonics became the Oklahoma City Thunder in the 2008 and 9 season. And what's noteworthy about that is this storm happened on the 85th day of the year, March 26th. And of course, in Gematria, basketball equates to 85, just like storm. And don't forget, the first ever March Madness tournament was in 85. The city Boston equals 85, the city that's won the most pro basketball championships. This is a big number with basketball ritualism. Not to mention the women's team that still remains in Seattle is called the Storm. And with regards to this having to do with climate and bizarre weather, the Pacific Northwest experienced 80-plus degree weather, which is unheard of in March, which is part of what brought this Oklahoma-like thunderstorm. Remember, one of the major sports arenas in Seattle is Climate Pledge Arena. Now, what makes this even more interesting is, as we've been talking about all year, something we've been talking about all season with this current NBA season, it's the 79th NBA season. The Seattle Supersonics won the championship in 79. Slick Watts, who played for the Sonics, retired in 79. He just died by the numbers the other day. We covered that. But recall how this 79th NBA season began. It began with all eyes on LeBron James and the Lakers on the eve of the World Series starting. And who was in attendance for that game with LeBron? Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr., the last father-son sports duo in sports history, which was up in Seattle, where the Griffeys played. And don't forget the other year with the Home Run Derby, Vlad Guerrero Jr. won the contest. And it was the first time in history a father and son had become winners of the Home Run Derby. See how they did that in Seattle, where the Griffeys played? But don't forget, with this 79th NBA season, LeBron Raymond James equates to 79, and he stayed on 79 home losses in the opener. And then at the end of the game, as the Lakers had won, they announced the death of Fernando Valenzuela, the great Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher, when Fernando Valenzuela equals 79. So all this going on with this 79th NBA season, which channels the history of Seattle, who's now the Oklahoma City Thunder. And funny enough, the finals this year begin on June
You guys, there are over 250 people watching and we have 79 likes. I don't know if there's some kind of joke by Google, but you guys should be hitting the like. Help get this information out. Hit the like button, you guys. Google's got to be playing with 79 likes. Come on.
5th. And that means that this storm came 71 days before the finals begin, which is curious because who is the god of thunder? Jupiter. Jupiter's the god of thunder in the occult, in ancient mythology. Zeus has that gematria value of 71. And keep in mind this happened on the eve of a Thursday named after Zeus or Thor or the planet Jupiter. But yeah, just a reminder, controlled weather, rig sports, ritualism, these types of things coming together again and again. Don't forget what they did with the Hurricanes last year. And the Tampa Bay Rays Stadium, Tropicana got its top torn off the same day they demolished the casino to make way, that they demolished the Tropicana casino to make way for the new baseball stadium for when the Athletics moved to Vegas. And again, for anyone who doesn't understand it, work to understand it. Again, weather warfare was admitted to in 1952 on the Jesuit order's birthday, the same Jesuits that control your sports leagues, your government, your news.
And like, seriously, like, where's people's argument? Like, where's your argument that that's not what's going on? First act of weather warfare, Jesuit order's birthday. Jesuit coach wins the finals tonight when he started with the Crusaders, and he does it on the same day that we bomb Iran, and it's synced up with Hegseth with Crusader tattoos all over his body. When he was picked on the Superior General's birthday, the leader of the Jesuits, and it's literally 222 days later, and Superior General equals 222. Like, where is your argument? It really does annoy the hell out of me. And what else is just frustrating is if you're ever a content creator and you've had a lot of success in the past and gotten a lot of views, and I mean, this video right now, if we were doing this in 2018, there'd probably be 10,000 people on the live stream. We don't even have 200, or I guess we have 250. But it's just, it's a joke, man. It's a joke. And again, just like, look at this year alone. Just this year alone. Let's go through the futures. College football. I pretty much gave it out for free. The only thing I gave out for free was actually the best one. Ohio State, who did win the championship. But on Patreon, we had Ohio State, Notre Dame, or Georgia to win the championship this year. And we were quite certain that Notre Dame and Georgia would face each other in the college football playoff as they did. So, correct college football. Super Bowl, hair off. I had Chiefs to 3-peat before the season began. I had my whole community to hedge on the Eagles. We knew why the Eagles could win the thing. March Madness, we had Todd Golden to win the championship on 4-7 in tribute to Trump, number 47, saying the golden age. Hit the Masters again this year. That's 6 out of the last 7 Masters hit. Hit the Kentucky Derby again this year. We've hit it a lot. We had Thunder Celtics preseason in the NBA Finals. Am I forgetting something else? Another future we've hit this year? I might be. But that's just this year. And I mean, we've been doing this consistently year after year for over a decade. And when I was just getting started, like, a lot of people had caught on by 2016, 2017. That's what's so annoying. It's like, okay, this is impossible outside of the algorithm and censorship for there should be millions of people here at this point, and it would be had they not screwed up the channel and deleted them all and done what they did with the algorithm, which is complete bullshit. And that's why those of you guys who are here, you need to help get out the message. And for all of you guys who cannot get out the message, maybe you need to work on getting out the message. A lot of times comments that are left, I kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, why would you even leave that comment? Why would that be the thing you say? There's so many concrete things you can give that are easy to understand. Like all the 65s, right? Irsay dead at 65. Finals start on 6-5. Pacers get their last win of the year. They're 65th on Juneteenth, which started in 1865. Then you can show somebody how in Gematria, Oklahoma City equals 65, and how Indiana Pacers equals 84, and how the Thunder got their 84th win of the year, this type of thing. A lot of times you guys are saying, I can't wake up my friends and family. Like I said, usually when I talk to this stuff in person, like the ladies at the hair salon I go to, they're super into this, and they spread it to their clients, and almost every time I come in, they're like, oh, what's the latest? And they got like a customer that wants to hear about it. She's calling up her brother to come down, who was a big Steelers fan and now is like, doesn't know what to think about the NFL. He's coming down to listen to this. If you can explain it just with concrete examples, not giving people like these really whimsical, like out there decodes, like a lot of people like to leave in my comment section, you should be waking people up. And for people who complain and cry and can't afford $5 a month for Patreon and say there's not anything for free, actually try watching the videos before you cry and complain, because I put out videos like this all throughout the year, from when the opening night of the season to Slick Watt's death to stuff like this. I brought up the Thunder and the Sonics in 79 a lot of times in free open streams this year. Big crybabies in the chat. You only brag and I'm not on your Patreon. Why aren't you on my Patreon? You can't afford $5 a month, but you want to gamble? Please.
Same Jesuits that do this kind of ritualism all the time, really. On the 85th day of the year, a storm in tribute to basketball as we approach the NBA playoffs. And just for the record, where was the last game that Oklahoma City played before this happened? Again, the team that used to be in Seattle. They played not far away the night before the storm. They played in Sacramento, which is the closest city in the...
Hold on. Open Up says, check the Storm's record right now after tonight's game. Oh, what do you know? The New York Liberty, who won the championship last year, was 79. And again, I don't do a WNBA, but I was pointing out all last year how they were doing major rituals with the Liberty, and sure enough, they went on to win the championship. Well, look at both of their records, right? The Liberty lose was 79 to Seattle. And we're always talking about this, how both leagues are scripted together, the WNBA and the NBA. Remember last year it was New York over Minnesota, and then there's the big trade between the New York and Minnesota teams, the Karl Anthony Towns trade. But yeah, New York loses with 79 to Seattle while this is going on, right? And what did I just say? Seattle had a lot to do with 9/11. Seattle is where their basketball team went to Oklahoma City, where the bombing happened shortly before 9/11, where McVeigh was put to death right before 9/11. You see how they do this? It was the 95 World Trade Center, or 95 Oklahoma City bombing. The Storm become 9-5. The Liberty fall to 10-3. Huh. You don't think this is all scripted together? I get embarrassed for people. There's also 168 points in the game. Like New York City's 168, and God, I think there's something with Oklahoma City and 168 that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But yeah, 168 points in that game tonight. Appreciate the second super chat and the observation. You got to love that the Storm, it was tied 22-all after quarter one. Of course, Storm is 22, and so is basketball. Like Boston, the 22 city, went to their 22nd championship in 22 and fell to 17-5 versus Golden State. And now what's the team there? The Valkyries, the women's team? Valkyries. Look at Valkyries and look at Golden State. Do you see the overlap? 3 of the same 4 ciphers. The Valkyries is the new women's team that plays in the Golden State Warriors arena. So yeah, again, I'm showing you how this storm in the Pacific Northwest, which they're comparing to Oklahoma weather on an 85th day of the year, is synced perfectly with the NBA Finals and paying tribute to Zeus, who is the lightning thunder god, and how the finals start on a Thursday named after Zeus. For the crybaby out there, watch more videos. If you don't got $5 a month for Patreon, watch more videos, because I drop a lot of things in the freebie streams if you're paying attention and listening. And here's the opening night. What point do you think I'm trying to make here for the free thing? Like, let's take a look and look at the Knicks players, how their jerseys add up to 79. Knicks exceeded expectations this year.
Welcome back, True Seeker. It is October 22nd, 2024, the opening day of the 79th NBA season. And the top story is that LeBron will play with his son, Bronny, opening up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And of course, the Lakers' daddy is the city of Minnesota. That's where they're from originally. That's why they're called the Lakers. Minnesota's the land of 10,000 lakes. But who's going to attend tonight's game is Ken Griffey Jr. And again, Ken Griffey Jr. was the last player to play with his father in professional sports, Ken Griffey Sr., on the Seattle Mariners. Now check this out about the 79th NBA season. Seattle, the Supersonics, who are now the Oklahoma City Thunder, but when they were still in Seattle, they won the 79 NBA championship. And they beat the Washington Bullets. The state of Washington beat Washington. When you learn gematria, this becomes even more interesting, because LeBron Ramon James. His full name has a gematria value of 79. So think about that. LeBron and LeBron Jr., 79th season. Ken Griffey Jr. in attendance, connected to Seattle, who won it in 79. You see how this ritualism works? And if you think more deeply about it, you realize that LeBron had to be born and bred to be, along with his son, to make all this line up so perfectly. And that's the point I've been speaking to for 11 years now, that a lot of these stars on the world stage, they were raised to be the star. It's like the NBA is a business, and they're creating athletes to fit the roles in their planned and scripted leagues where the announcers are always saying they couldn't have scripted it any better. And remember, this league is run by the cabal. And that term comes from Kabbalah, and a practice of Kabbalah is coding numbers into words. LeBron Ramon James, 79, 79th season. He's got the new coach, J.J. Redick. I'll save that part for later. But if you missed the podcast that LeBron and J.J. Redick did just before Redick was made the coach, go back and check that out. We played the clip earlier this year. J.J. Redick asked LeBron, what's the secret to having such a long and successful career? And LeBron said, you have to sacrifice your loved ones. And J.J. Redick had a shocked response. He asked him again, and LeBron said the exact same thing back. You got to sacrifice your loved ones. And I've been showing you guys for years, these games are rigged. They were playing long in advance, and there's a lot of human sacrifice connected to it. Just like how when LeBron signed with the Lakers, 2 former UCLA players dropped dead days after, both with the connections to the gematria of King. Don't forget, LeBron's the guy who won it for the Cavs on the real King James's birthday, June 19, 2016, not too far off from the 216 area code, where in Game 6 of those finals, the last one in Cleveland, 216 points were scored. But again, those who fought for King Charles, the son of King James, in the English Civil War in history were called Cavaliers. Again, the jokes are deep. Until next time, Truth Seeker.
Yeah, and again, that's not as clear as what I'm saying on Patreon, but just look at the title, just talking about the Sonics and, of course, the new Thunder team. On Patreon, we make it super clear. But along the year, we talked about Slick Watts' death. Slick Watts, who retired in 79, who played for the Sonics and went to Xavier of Louisiana, a Jesuit-affiliated school. Go figure. He also did play for the Rockets his last year in the NBA. That's probably part of the Durant joke getting sent to the Rockets today to close out the 79th season. Durant, who started with the Sonics, and now with the Rockets. But yeah, again, I mean, it is sick the way people are sacrificing these games. I must wonder if Dick Cheney's time's up. Most people wouldn't have bet that Dick Cheney would have made it to 84 because the guy had so many. He's had like 50 heart bypass surgeries. Has Dick Cheney even had a heart transplant? Hold on. Dick Cheney, heart transplant. Did he get a heart transplant? Yeah, he did, man. This guy got a heart transplant. He's still going. Like, so many bypass surgeries. This guy's eating nothing but lard. Let me say thank you to the super chatters, and I will open up the phone line for a minute too. If anybody else wants to chime in with something, there might be some other great observations out there I'm overlooking. Open Up says, thanks for another correct prediction before the season began. We got the clue with the Griffies attending LeBron Bronny game, among many other clues. Yeah, I mean, even before that, we were just saying just the whole 79 thing. Sonics won in 79 season. Oklahoma, 46-8, 46 years later. The Baller Star says, would love to see you give a list of these number rituals to ChatGPT until it is undeniable. It could be a great way to go viral. Just try. I'll have to look into that. And see what happens there. I appreciate the thought. Nima, who's always very generous, says, showing support. You are incredible at what you do. I appreciate that, Nima. Texas Jules. You're not the Texas Jules. Are you the one that sends me the weird things in the mail? Who's normally trolling? Are you the one that poached the young teenager down in Florida? He might be 20 now. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. If Zach gets 10 super chats, the Jesuit code breaks again. Let's make it happen. I can only assume that's you. Thank you anyhow. When I saw 95 points at the half, I told the casino teller that I wouldn't be surprised if 194 points are scored to pay tribute to the Oklahoma bombing. Yeah, 99 in the second half as well, like Thunder's 99. 99 days before Durant's birthday. John Mendoza, 360. What, John? You upped it from your normal too. Is that for the Thunder 36? Appreciate it, man. You're welcome. Thank you. Elijah says CBS News Chicago covered a mass shooting out of my county. Are you talking about the one at the church? I did see there was no. That was in Michigan. I saw there was a church shooting in Michigan today. Michigan's the 46th state. CBS News Chicago covered a mass shooting out of my county. 1 dead, 11 hurt. Police responded at 1:11 a.m. Yeah. Elkhart, Indiana is 111 miles from Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, 1 dead, 11 hurt. I mean, that's the kind of stuff they put in the news all the time, and nobody blinks an eye. It is maddening. It's like, how don't people see it? Again, you guys, I started to realize after 9/11, which was a major number ritual, that there was a lot of number rituals in news, and I could not figure out why for the longest time. In 2013 is when I read the excerpt from The Secret Teachings of All Ages on the internet, and then it made me go out and get the book. But that's where I learned about Gematria. Yeah, Open Up said, check the Seattle Storm record. Yeah, just unbelievable. But at the same time, just business as usual. Is this Texas Jules again? The same Texas Jules? She said, congrats to the winners. Took 47 Tylenols just to make sense of this Jesuit ritual. Are you trolling Texas Jules? Open Up said, Logan Gilbert, number 36, pitched for the Mariners today, 48 days after his birthday. Thunder, 36, the NBA Finals, 48. Played his 130th career game, one shy. Well, Washington equals 130. Maybe something about Washington. It's like Pete Carroll. He had that big upset on Monday Night Football years ago, and he's the Seahawks coach. Seahawks paid 3.5 to 1 that night. Whoops, I didn't mean to write out Pete Carroll. I meant to write out Washington. It was on November 11th, the state of Washington's birthday. Pete Carroll got his 130th regular season win and 140th win, including the playoffs, on Washington's birthday years ago. Monday Night Football at the 49ers, and the Seahawks were major underdogs that year. And sure enough, they upset. Shout out to Victor, wherever he is in the world. Victor was the first person to call him without observation on that evening stream. What's up to Chris Adrian? Thank you for the 2. Jacoby with the 2. Thoughts on the Pacers cameraman who died at age 48. The NBA Finals equals 48. Oklahoma City Thunder equals 223, which is the 48th prime, and their coach's birthday is February 23rd. Again, just another sacrifice, no doubt about it. Keep in mind the word Freemason is 48, so is Illuminati. All the American sports are credited Freemasonry. The Illuminati had plans to infiltrate Freemasonry. I'll look that up. I didn't know that the Pacers cameraman died at 48. I missed that. Chris says, Zach, thank you for putting out the work. How should I look into Silent Hill 2 video game? Lots of 201s in there. Are you telling me to look into it? Yeah. Again, the 201s are all over the place. I don't have a video game system, so it's hard for me to look into it. But people keep telling me I got to start playing video games. You know, you guys, I realize that almost all the biggest YouTubers are video game players. Kind of annoys me. It's like these guys are known for playing video games, but then they do videos also on political commentary and they get millions of views. And I'm like, while these guys have been playing video games, I've been putting in the hard, grinding work every single day for going on 12 years to figure out, like, almost to a science what's going on in the world. And almost nobody cares, but guys who play video games, that's who people want to listen to. It drives me nuts. Maybe I need to start playing video games. I don't really like playing video games, though. I can't do it, you guys. I'd feel like a loser as a father and a 40-some-year-old playing video games. No offense to any 40-some-year-old fathers who play video games. I'm sure there's a lot. It's just, I don't know. I feel like that's not a responsible thing to do. It's like the world's been falling apart. The police state's been growing. I feel like if I'm playing video games, I'm neglecting my responsibility as an adult, as a conscious person. But then again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, hey, if I'd been playing video games, I'd have millions of people listening to me. Maybe it was a mistake all along. Should have been playing more video games. Hold up. I need to look up the Pacers cameraman. Yeah, I know the NBA Finals equals 48. So that stands out to me right away. Matt Dial. He's dialing it up from long range, and the magnets are sucking it through. Oh yeah. Oh, poor guy. He wanted to live long enough to see the Pacers win an NBA title. Well, God, just the mockery, man. It's annoying how dumb sports are now. It's like Halliburton's some big star and he can't even dribble a basketball. He carries every time. Every time he dribbles, hands all the way under the ball like this, like this. It's like, that's blow the whistle, turnover. Let's go the other way. Get a guy who can dribble with his hand on top of the ball. He get nice and low and keep bouncing nice and. NBA is just, it's so pathetic. It's just so pathetic. And you know what? I mean, if you're 20 years or younger, you don't even know the difference because it's been the NBA for the last 20 years. Matt Dial. Stage 4. Colon cancer. Colon cancer? Is that the one with the 59 connection? Yeah. Oh, there's the 103. Oh my God. Look at the final score of tonight's game, you guys. 194 total points. 103 for the winning team. They got their 59th win of the year. There's something with that too, because Super Bowl 59, or I just misspoke. The Thunder got their 59th win versus the Pacers all time tonight. A lot of you guys don't know how to use StatMuse. It's been getting left all throughout the playoffs in my comment section. Hey Zach, did you know that the Thunder's next win is 56 versus the Pacers? It's like, no, it's not. That was their first win in the series. You guys have to, when you go on StatMuse, you have to write including playoffs. Here, I'll show you. Here's the mistake you guys are all making. You can even, the phrase all time doesn't get it done. Watch this. If I write Thunder all time record versus Pacers, it's going to show that they have 55 wins. See, 55 and 46. But that's not including the playoffs. See, if I add the words including playoffs, now I see their record 59 and 49. And colon cancer is 59 and 49. Interesting. But yeah, the thing about 59, Super Bowl 59 happened this year. And Jalen Hurts, who won the Super Bowl, played at Oklahoma after he left Alabama. And then in this Thunder winning, they got Jalen Hurts' middle name is Alexander. Jalen Alexander Hurts. So you have Shea Gilgeous Alexander, and you have his main man, Jalen Williams. So you have Jalen Alexander, Oklahoma, Super Bowl 59. And remember who won the 59th election? Biden. And Biden's favorite football team's the Eagles because he's from Scranton near Philly. And then Joe Biden's connected to Oklahoma City because it was his counterterrorism legislation that got passed right before it blew up. And again, he was number 46, like Oklahoma's the 46th state. Like Shea Gilgeous Alexander just played in his 46th postseason game, and it's been 46 years since that franchise won the championship, which was won as the Sonics. So yeah, look at what, isn't it crazy how they code this stuff in these stories? This guy's colon cancer coded the final score tonight, and again, 103 for the winning team, 194 points, and the Thunder becoming 59 and 49 versus the Pacers all time. And that's the thing, too. Just all the time, drive-by comments for people kind of the channel like, dude, you're using 4 ciphers. Yeah. And if you'd learn the 4, you'd see how they work in sports and how they, work as a system together all the time. 4 intuitive ciphers. Alphabetic order, reverse alphabetic order. With numerology, in reverse with numerology. And listen, I can explain this after averaging 3 hours of sleep for the last 7 months and being up since 2 a.m. Today. So if I can do that and still put all this together, what is your excuse? Double-digit IQ. That's the problem. Shit diet, too much fluoride. And that actually could be one of my advantages, you guys. There's only a couple cities in America that don't put fluoride in the drinking water. And if you look into it, the government's kind of starting to admit that fluoride does dumb people down. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Portland didn't put fluoride in their drinking water. It's one of the only cities in the whole nation that didn't. I think they do now. They still claim they don't, but I think they do now. I think they just didn't admit that they do. It's hard to say. Just Portland's gotten really dumb, but all the people that live there are from California now. California took over the Pacific Northwest. Sell your home for $1 million in California and move up to the Pacific Northwest and get a house that's way nicer for a fraction of the cost. Well, not anymore. Now homes are that much up here too. It says at 2:54 a.m., Maddie passed on from this life. Dial died early Saturday. He died on a date with 52 numerology. He died yesterday, the date, the 52 date, the day with the weather warfare in North Dakota, if you missed that. Oklahoma City, again, is 52. OKC is also 52, and Indiana is 52. And again, Indiana did win the ABA championship 52 years ago in 73. So the Indiana fan died on the 52 date before his team got closed out. He died at the 174th minute of the day. If you write out number of the beast, it equals 174. Again, the number of the beast is actually 666. And again, the Pacers stayed on 666 wins versus the West. Matt Dial. Here, let's see what's in his name. Matt Dial equals 26 like Pacers. Yeah, go figure. Oh, and I forgot to make the point that Miles Turner, his birthday is a span of 26 days from the Oklahoma City bombing anniversary. Or no, it's just 26 days. His birthday's March 24th, 26 days before April 19th. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was 26 years old for this series. Yeah, appreciate the tip on Mark Dial, but yeah, colon cancer. All 4 ciphers factor into the final outcome of tonight's game. Sick. Another sacrifice. Remember the World Cup, how that guy that was the journalist just dropped dead at the World Cup, young guy? That was one of the big stories too. It was very similar. Yeah, Indiana lost 3-4, right? Indiana's 34, just like how Dick Barnett from Indiana and played for the Knicks. That series ended 34 days after his death. Okay, here, I got to wrap this up here pretty soon, but let me open up the phone line. If you guys want to call in, make sure it's nice and efficient. Either it's a good question or it adds to what we're talking about. All right. If you guys don't know the number, it is on the screen. It's that 509 number. Let me see what is going on with my headphones. We got a call from the 509 out near where I am. What's up, 509?
Yeah, how you doing, Zach? First of all, thanks for everything you do. I've learned a lot from you. I heard you bring up Jalen Hurts. I also just wanted to say it's been 133 days since the Super Bowl. I think Oklahoma City
is 133. Yeah, and so is football.
Right.
Oklahoma City 133.
Right.
Football 133.
Where was Jalen Hurts born?
You got me on that one.
He was born in Houston.
Oh, damn. That's right. Actually, and that's where Durant just got shipped to, and that's where Slick Watts finished his career. That's right. Houston guy.
Yeah, that's right. So just to let you know, when you say that all sports are rigged, they are definitely all connected. And a lot of people don't understand this, but they think, not too many people can be in on this. But if you understand,
I want to make a point about
hold
on real quick. I just want to make a larger point about 133. Yeah. For people who don't know, government's 133, White House is 133, president's 133. Don't forget the NFL was born 133 years after the Constitution was born, which is September 17th, which is also Mahomes' birthday, and they've synced him up with the commander-in-chief. Because, again, we're talking about how this is connected to, Dick Cheney and Trump, who just turned 79 during the 79th season, and Joe Biden, number 46. That your federal government is in D.C., known as the Masonic City, and all of the American sports are credited to Masons. Masonry is based in Kabbalah, and Kabbalah is where this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from. And again, they do use the sports and the entertainment to distract you from the wrongdoing that they're doing with your government. Go ahead.
Yeah, anyway, Zach, love what you do, man. Wanted to keep it quick and efficient, like you said. I'm going to continue to learn from you. Have a good night.
Great call. Great call, 509. Appreciate it, man. He's somewhere near me. However, the 509 area code covers a huge geographic region in Washington State. I bet if I went and pounded pavement in Spokane again, he would show up. All right, let's see. We got 908. What's up, 908?
Zach, how's it going, man? Another future nailed. As soon as that 79th season and Gus Williams kicking the bucket, it was just it was a foregone conclusion that it would end this way. I mean, it's honestly such a sick joke. And then I had listened to your stream earlier in the day when you recorded for Sunday the baseball and tonight's game. And I called in about Durant, and I caught it late after the fact. I did mention it was 99 days before his birthday, and the Thunder is 99, and he's also 36 years old right now, just like Thunder. And then the other thing I wanted to mention too is that he got traded to the Rockets, who had Fred VanVleet, who was on the Raptors, and so was Siakam, and he tore his Achilles in that finals in 2019 against them. And then, of course, Halliburton, goes down tonight. And I mean, it's such a joke how, like, in these playoffs, there's, someone made a comment on your YouTube channel, like on the video, that all three number zeros went down. I mean, it's so sick how they do it. Like, just the mockery that, like, goes into this and all these, it's a script. It's a fucking circus, the whole thing. Like, and people, always point out, like, oh, like, it's impossible to fake an Achilles injury and all this stuff. And I say, guys, like, it's complete bullshit. Like, all this technology that we have now.
These are dumb arguments to say it's fake. Just always bring up Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber had a fake Achilles injury the year the Cubs broke the 108-year drought, like the 108 double stitches, and he came back just in time for the postseason and ran better than he ever had in his whole life. So no, there's a lot of fake injuries, including Achilles injuries in sports, and Kyle Schwarber was one of the most obvious ones of all time. By the way, Kevin Durant got traded for Jalen Green in the Rockets trade, like Jalen Hurts is from Houston, at the big refining city.
Yeah, no, but I think my larger point that I wanted to make, like, how people, try to convince you that, this is real competition and they're competing hard and playing hard. And I told them, I said, these guys are wearing compression gear over, like, all parts of their body, especially, like, their legs. And there's no telling what exactly, what type of technology, is in those in that compression gear. Like, the NBA is $1 billion company. Like, they probably have access to some stuff that can make it look like, they tear their Achilles, break their ankle, whatever it is. Like, it's not fucking real. It's all an illusion what you're seeing on TV. They do shit, on the screen to make it, to sell it to the fucking people who are so hooked to the tube and, watch these sports day in and day out because they got nothing better to do. Like, sure. It was so apparent with Tatum. It was so apparent with Tatum in the Knicks series when he went down. I mean, it was just awful acting. Like, both guys. And it's a fucking joke. I don't understand, like, why people, can still continuously fall for this stuff. And if people just had listened to you and watched your video about Gus Williams dying literally before the season started, you would have won money. Like, you gave this away. It's unbelievable. And I just, want to continue to point out how you do this work. And, I hope one day people, really understand, what's going on, how everything is connected, like Miles Turner and the 33, Timothy John McConnell, TJ McConnell, Timothy McVeigh. He wore number 9. They zoomed in on the camera. Miles Turner wears 33. They zoom in. Like, it's literally a fucking joke. The whole fucking show is.
Yeah, and if you're paying attention, I mean, there's just so many number tributes in a game. Yeah, I'd honestly even forgotten about the Gus Williams death. So here, I'll play that one real quick
Yeah,
for everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome back,
The
True Seeker.
evidence is
It
all
is
right
Friday, January 17th, 2025. It is RFK Jr.'s 71st birthday and Michelle Obama's 61st. One of CNN's top stories today is giant Darth Vader sea bug discovered off the Vietnam coast. And as you'll recall, it wasn't that long ago that the voice of Darth Vader died, James Earl Jones. And isn't it odd that CNN would make this a top story out of all the days in the year on his birthday anniversary? Also, likely not by accident, we talked about how James Earl Jones died by the numbers, synced up with George Lucas, and also synced up with the new Lion King movie about Mufasa, where he was also once the voice of Mufasa in the original Lion King. But from his day to death, September 9th, to this being CNN's front page news is 130 days later. Human sacrifice has that gematria of 130. And then also in the news, Gus Williams of the 79 championship Seattle Sonics team dead at 71. Notice how in gematria, Gus Williams equals 71. And as we talked about at the start of the year, this is the 79th NBA season. The top team in the West right now is the Thunder, who used to be the Sonics. He died January 15th, Gus Williams, but the news broke just before the Thunder had a big win over the Cleveland Cavaliers, one of the top teams in the East. And from the start of this NBA season to the death of Gus Williams was the 86th day of the season. Just remember, they started using the term NBA Finals in 86. That was the year they took out Len Bias by the numbers.
And again, just for all the people out there that cry about, you only do it on pay. That's not true. I always give out free information if you're just paying attention. I mean, another major clue. I gave clues all year about the Thunder going to the finals.
And notice also how human sacrifice and blood sacrifice has the gematria value of 86. If you're paying attention and you're new here, you might be like, wait a minute, you just said human sacrifice equals 130. If you're new here, there's 4 base ciphers of the English language, the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order.
Yeah, so again, I know that I gave out a lot. I always give out a lot of free clues for sports if people are actually paying attention. And I realize most of my viewers, they're not even paying attention when they watch my videos. And I can tell that from the comments that are left. Because I'm like, okay, why are you leaving a comment for something I said in the video? Anyway, go ahead, 908.
Yeah, no, and like you say, like, you know, if you subscribe to this channel, like, it's not, you know, like, gambling is the last thing, you know, that should be on your mind. It's the last thing on my mind too. I'm paying attention to all the stories, you know, in politics and entertainment, in sports. Every headline that comes out, I watch all your videos, and the whole point is, like, you know, to play the game that they're playing and, you know, connect the dots. And like, that's, you know, how you gain, you know, perspective and knowledge of, you know, how things are being run and controlled, you know, to you know, how we, like, to what, you know, the basic mainstream viewer doesn't catch like what we do. And yeah, no, and I mean, like I said, you called this, you know, from the jump, and, you know, that was my main point. Like, everything you said about this, you know, you just said hammer the Thunder this year, you know, literally in fucking September, October, and we're in June. And, you know, like I said, you've been calling futures left and right, you know, with the Masters, NCAA tournament, the WNBA.
Here's why I'm annoyed. Since Masters, it's not like we've stopped. How am I down 500 people on Patreon since the Masters? It doesn't make sense. You think we'd be up at least 500 people based on the accomplishments? I don't know if I had a lot of people tell me that Patreon is unsubscribing them. I've always heard that over the years, and people say they can't get back on. I just had a guy who came out and met me in Minnesota who called me up the other day to say that happened to him and he cannot get back on there. Maybe that's what's going on, but it is so annoying. It's like, God, you should be getting rewarded for this, and instead it's like you're getting punished. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and it's just, you know, it goes to show, like, you know, just how lost, you know, society is, and how hooked, you know, to the game, you know, they are, paying for overpriced tickets, overpriced food, overpriced parking, and it's nonstop throughout the year. Like, people just do not understand that what they're watching is it's all an illusion. And the more, you know, you catch on to these things and these headlines and how they're connecting, you know, to these, you know, Manchurian, you know, players, and, you know, them being a part of this, you know, from the start, since the day they were born, it all becomes just an absolute joke. And it's just gross to see, you know, what a chokehold it has on this country.
Yeah, I hear it.
But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you again for all your hard work, and you know, let's keep dominating the MLB and the NFL this fall.
All right, man. Appreciate it. You have a good night.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. I'll go for 4 more minutes. Who wants to be the last caller? Unless you guys just get really great with the calls, and then I'll go even longer. But I do need to go to bed. I've been up since, like I said, 2:30 this morning. What's up, 407?
Hey, what's up, Zach? I'll try to keep it quick on this. First, I want to say thank you for giving us this information before the season, pulling out the Thunder. So that's another correct prediction. But I wanted to touch on the previous caller. He brought up the players who went down with injuries. Lillard, Tatum, and Halliburton today, all wearing number 0, going down with Achilles injuries. So I looked into it a little bit, and 0 equals kill, which also has matches with Israel, going with the war that's going on. And then Achilles is interesting because Achilles was known for his role in war, the Trojan War. And then that reminded me that SGA, he named his first child Ares, which is the god of war. That was a little earlier, if you remember.
Sure, yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, so that's all I want to add, and appreciate your work as always. Great work.
Appreciate you. You've become one of the greatest contributors in the community. I wish there were more of you, so thank you so much.
Yeah, take care. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night. Yeah, 407 hasn't been around that long, but always super helpful, very generous, and yeah, I do wonder why there are not a lot more 407s in the world. But again, intelligent person, and I think that is the real problem. I think there's not that many intelligent people living in this country. I think that's the real problem. What's up, 480?
Hello.
Hello.
I don't. Yeah, I didn't see the beginning of the show, but did you notice that Halliburton went out with 7 points? 7 minutes. He played for 7 minutes and scored 9 points, like 79.
Oh yeah, I didn't. No, that's a great observation. I didn't know that. Yeah. Perfect.
And then with 4:55 left, with 4:55 left in the quarter, they put in there, and that's the 13th tetrahedral number, and the 91, has a 13 connection, and so there's and the other score was like 103. So I just thought that was interesting too.
Well, you know what I love too, that he went 3 for 5 on I-35. He also went 3 for 4 from 3-point range, like Indiana's 34, and they lose the series. So I see he came out and had I didn't see the beginning of the game. I turned the game on in the second half. That's what I mean about just scripted. I mean, are you serious at the 7-minute mark with 9 points in the last game of the 79th NBA season? I mean, come on, man.
No, he played for 7 minutes. Yeah, it said 7 minutes and 9, but there's 4:55 left in the second or whatever, which is just crazy.
Yeah, so that's 7 minutes and 5 seconds if that's when he was hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts. It's funny. And then, about your commentary thing, like some people are like saying like stuff back to you stupid or whatever, or saying, oh, this doesn't make sense. Like you could that's probably like bots. There's this thing, it's called Fireship, like a YouTube channel, and it's called like Redditors upset that they found out that like 40 to 60% of the comments on Reddit are fake and they're bots that argue back with them. So I could make it like a chat robot and put in like keywords like gematria and like all these different things and 47 and all that stuff. And anytime anyone punts that, and you can put to argue with them, and then they can just argue with everyone on it.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
And
I know that Reddit's like that. If you say like my name on there, that's instantly attacked. So I do think it's like some kind of automatic bot response. I think there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like you could be like arguing with them, and it could not even be anyone.
Now that you have me looking at the box score, did you see that the Thunder starters scored 83 points tonight? Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 83.
Yeah.
They had 83 points, the starters. And what's funny is the Pacers starters had 49 points. And we just saw how they got they stayed on 49 wins in the series with the Thunder.
And then Shane scored 29, and Halliburton's birthday is on the 29th of February, but I don't know if that's, anything, but it's funny.
Well, OKC is 29, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Stars scored 29.
All right, I'll let someone else get on.
All right, man. Great observations. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, for anybody out there who's like, it's not a fake injury, yeah, show them that. So, it's the 79th season? 7 minutes, 9 points. It's just, the whole thing's hilarious. 3 for 4. Do you remember how game 1 ended? Just stupid. Just like the same way game 1 with the Knicks. Knicks had like, what, a 17-point lead with 5 minutes left versus the Pacers and blew it? I mean, where does that happen? Hasn't happened since the Blazers game versus the Lakers in game 7 years ago. That was my final straw. I was a teenager. I was in high school. I said, yeah, sports are completely scripted. I mean, Blazers should be in the championship right now. They purposely just threw the game. What's up, 917?
Hello?
What's up, man? Staying up late. What's going on?
Yeah, real quick, big money. Listen, big money, man. Rockies came through, gave the Diamondbacks their 38th loss.
Those are the good old days. You guys, if you find old videos of me saying that you can't lose with Rockies in 38, those videos are from years ago, and it used to be true. Just so you know, it's not a perfect pattern anymore. It changed in a drastic way in the last couple of years, but it did hit today. It did hit today with the big value. Colorado, the 38th state, D-backs with the 38th loss, and you gotta love the 4-2 score because they're also now 4-2 versus each other for the year. You see how Colorado's 38 for people who don't know. Arizona's 42, so is Diamondbacks. You get a 4-2 score, and the Diamondbacks fall to 4-2 versus the Rockies for the year, if I'm not mistaken. So,
look what's interesting. Look what's interesting because they're 8-29. They could become 8-30, like 38.
Yeah, in their next game, their next home game. Yeah, they just did that on the road, didn't they? Didn't they just become 8-30 away in their last series?
Yeah, I guess they, when 38 is hot with them,
Yeah.
Oh, 83 is hot.
Yeah.
It was good today in baseball. I liked it. Phillies got the 26. Phillies love 26.
Yeah, the Sunday night baseball. Well, I'm a little bit unhappy with the Sunday night baseball result, but yeah, you were right about your 26th.
Astros got the 45th win to go into the Phillies game with 45.
That one was coming in. Yeah, that one was definitely coming in. That was a good one.
Orioles got the 44 to go into the Rangers game with 44 losses. Come on.
Yeah. There was a lot of good things to do.
And then, like you said, it was the 173rd day, the 40th prime. It was 40 everywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you read the notes, and you listen to the stream, it's well worth it. I appreciate you so much, Zach.
All right, man. Appreciate you too. You have a good night.
All right. You too.
Take care. You gotta love how ESPN has to give you the minute in 3-second story of the Halliburton injury as his team loses to the opponent who scores 103. In a tribute to the Turner Diaries. Oh my God. 202, I saw you were trying to call in. Most improved decoder of the year. If you want to call in, you can call in, and then I gotta wrap this thing up. I know Sweet Girl's gonna wake up in 5 minutes. Mom's gonna want me to change her diaper here. Let me see. What's up, 202?
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, Zach?
You were very confident the Thunder would get it done tonight. Well done.
About the Thunder becoming 37 and 34 in closeout games in SGA 99th game.
Yeah.
37 days. The finals beginning 37 days before SGA birthday.
Yeah. Perfect.
And the USA just attacked the East. The West just attacked the East. And the West just defeated the East in the NBA Finals. So.
Okay, correct. Yeah, perfect ritual.
Okay. Trump born in 1946. Oklahoma City Thunder ends their 46-year drought.
Wait, what was the 1946 part? Are you saying the chump born in 46?
Yep.
Yeah. Indeed. You guys, you know who else was born in 46 was Bill Clinton and also George W. Bush. And George W. Bush is part of Skull and Bones, who get their symbolism from the Crusaders as well, the Templars. He'll turn 79 on July 6th. Look out.
Yeah, with that whole Donald Trump attacking Iran the day before the final game of the 79th NBA Finals and the Thunder.
And in a sense, it was the same day as the finals, right? Because it was June 22nd Iran time, and then the finals game's on June 22nd U.S. time.
didn't think about that. Didn't think of it like that. And it is interesting that the Sonics won in '79 during the Iranian Revolution.
I was making that point today in the stream. Yeah, I was saying, 79, last time the Thunder, aka Sonics, won.
It's just to be honest, if you explain it like you said earlier, like you really have to have some type of brain like function to really sit down and understand how they're connecting all these dots. I mean, you can't really explain it to like your average person. They're literally going to look at you like, you're insane, literally. So,
right.
You definitely have to have some type of brain. Like your brain has to function a little bit for you to understand how they're doing all of this. Because all it is, I mean, is literally. I mean, they're literally imitating God. They're literally just riddles for days, riddles on riddles on riddles on riddles on riddles.
Yeah, indeed.
It just sucks that like we see this every day, Zach, literally every day, and it's just everybody's just going along with it. It's that thing you said a while ago about how everybody's like under a spell. I mean, it's a bit creepy in a way, Anyways, like great day in baseball. That thing I caught in about. I don't really want to say too much on.
That's your secret weapon. But well done, well done figuring that out, because I never heard anybody else make that observation before, and it wasn't even a year ago that the community was really hating on you, but I think everybody's standing back saying what I'm saying. Yeah, most improved Dakota of the year. Look at this guy. He's even making new finds for the community. So yeah, you might want to keep some of those things up your sleeve because they're listening. So well done.
Yeah, I was kind of even worried about speaking on that on the stream today, but I mean, at the end of the day, on that Patreon, it's really all the community. So I mean, we're all there to share information, so
except for all the trolls listening too.
The 40 was almost perfect. It kind of I don't know because like 30 has been so inconsistent lately. I kind of faded it in that Diamondbacks game, but besides that, everything else was great. Great day again.
Yeah, for people not in the know, it was the 173rd day of the year, which is the 40th prime. So there were a number of 40s on the board today. Rangers got their 40th loss. Let's see. Twins got their 40th loss. Reds got their 40th win. The Diamondbacks did not get the 40th, but they had that 38 going against them. We knew better there. Historically, you can't go against Colorado on 38. Boston stayed on 40 wins. The Guardians are the 40 team. They did win on this day. I don't think I thought of that earlier. The Angels got their 40th loss. The Royals got their 40th loss. So it looks like the only 40, besides the Colorado game, that didn't hit was Atlanta didn't stay on 40 losses. But yeah, it did very well. All right, 202. Anything else?
That was all. I'll see you on the Patreon later today.
All right, man. Take care.
Yep.
Yeah, he's already on to the next day. I'm 20 minutes away from Monday. All right, I'm shutting down the line. If you didn't get in, join us on Patreon. You can call in tomorrow. Ha! But yeah, we do stream on Patreon every day. For people who don't know, I do stream 7 days a week, every week on Patreon. Sports really is a great way to learn the knowledge. You don't even have to gamble. It's just, you get so many examples to see how they do the rituals. And it's a good chance to do homework too, because they're constantly paying tribute to history in sports. It's not just the day of championships. And I don't always catch it. I mean, like things that are, you might know more about your state, your city. You're more inclined to catch things that I wouldn't catch because you probably know more about your state and city than I do. But again, these sports leagues are just constant tributes to history. And That's the thing that bothers me too. I mean, I've never changed my message. I've been saying the same thing the whole time I've been here. How it's all tributes to history. And I've explained why. Same secret societies responsible for these leagues are the same ones controlling your government, your news networks, no doubt your history books. There's a reason it all fits together so nicely. So, all right. I'm going to try and get some sleep before, Sweet Girl's going to wake up any minute. When I'm done with Sweet Girl, then I'll try and get some sleep. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks to everyone who does support the Patreon. I don't know why we're down 500 Patreon members since nailing the Masters again. It does annoy me. We should be up at least 500 more members with everything we've accomplished since then. But yeah, that is the way it is. Oh, I see there's another super chat as well. Open up again. Open up. I hope you had a good day, man. You've been super generous. He said SGA's son Aries was born on the 116th day of the year, April 25th, 24. That was the leap year. Same exact date numerology with today. And again, we know how big that 116 got paid to in this series with the execution tribute. The word country is 116. I got to think about where African American is 116, like how the Dodgers won the 116th World Series. The year they got Mookie Betts from Boston and the Jackie Robinson salute. I got to think about why else they'd be doing that 116. Duff says, yo, Zach, what's the Super Bowl game prop that happens every 10 years? I think it's a special team touchdown. Special teams touchdown. By the way, I appreciate your work. Hold on. Am I too tired to understand this? Yo, Zach, what's the Super Bowl game prop that happens every 10 years? I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe when I wake up tomorrow, I'll remember. But I can't remember. I'll look into that, though. I think you're trying to clue us into something there. Special teams touchdown every 10 years, huh? Well, you know, that would be lucrative. That's probably like a 10-to-1 payout at least. And that's the beauty of this knowledge, too. Again, we don't try to create degenerates. We try to turn small bills into big bills, not waste our money on junk food and fast food and overpriced coffee. Instead of spending $5 on a Starbucks, you can make coffee at home for a few cents and then turn that $5 bill into $100+ for the day, taking advantage of the rigged games. And again, like sometimes there's teams that just like keep scoring the same score over and over to hit exact scores in games. The game where SGA scored 34 points, I had him to score 34 points that game. It was 34 days before his birthday, like Indiana equals 34. Those kind of things are big payouts. And you know, like my troll, he'd say, well, you only went 1 for 5 with SGA's exact point total in the thing. And it's like, yeah, so what? I went 1 for 5. And what did it pay the game it hit? Oh, yeah, it paid 30-1. So, you know, haters can't do math because they'll be like, oh, well, you only got his exact points 1 out of the 5 times you tried. It's like, well, first of all, I hit it the first time I tried. So we were already playing with house money. But yeah, again, if you can't do math, you guys, if you go 1 for 5, but you got paid 30-1, is that doing bad? Let's see. So you bet $1 and you made 30, and then you bet 4 more times, and you did give back the next $4, but you still made 26. You know what I mean? And that's why the haters, like when we miss a future, they're like, oh, well, you didn't get it this time. It's like, how much house money are we playing with on futures? I mean, I gave you guys the Mets to be in the 111th World Series at 40-1 odds, and we hit that, and we've been hitting a lot of futures ever since. We've been playing with house money though, and just building it the whole time. And every now and then we'll give some back. But yeah, I mean, just look at what we've done this year. Just domination. It should be like 100,000 people, new signups this year on the Patreon. Instead, somehow we're down 500. And I'm pretty sure that's because they're sabotaging. All right. We'll leave it there for tonight. Thanks to everyone who hits the like and the share. It says we're on 173 likes on the 173rd day of the year. How perfect. All right. Yeah, please do hit the like. Supposedly more likes, more comments, more subscriptions. More likely a video reaches new people. So then again, YouTube, I know they're playing with all the stats, but you guys hitting those buttons should help things, even though it seems like it's mission impossible to get any views on this channel. All right, until next time.